And Gardner, as usual, would look at him and just not be too happy at the way he said that. But time went on. Came time for the planting, so they planted the crops, and Mr. Smith gave up building the boat for a while. But finally, it was getting on towards the 4th of July, and in fact, it was somewhere around June 15th. It was around June 15th, and it was time to put that boat in the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put it in the water, let it take up and get really nice and tight. And they pumped it out. And Smith had been drawing up plans for sails for a while, and that's when Gardner's father finally got involved. He looked at these things, and it looked like kind of like a bed sheet on a clothes pole and some ropes attached to it somehow. And he just couldn't take it anymore. He said, "Smith, let me help you out." So he designed a nice little gaff-rigged sail for him, and with a nice cut to it, and a little tiny self-tacking jib up in the front. And they rigged the boat, and the next day was going to be the first sail. And the kids, no matter how much they made fun of Smith and his boat, they were still excited because Smith had promised them that he would take them out for a sail the very next morning.
So it became the very next morning. And Gardner woke up, and it was a fine day. It was a wonderful day. It was a beautifully quiet day. And he walked out of the house, and he walked down the hill. And as he walked down the hill, he thought, I'm going to go wake up Mr. Smith. So he went down to that cottage, and he went to knock on the door. And as he knocked on that door, it just sort of came open.
Smith wasn't there, and neither was his dusty old suitcase, and neither were his clothes or any of his things. Gardner went out through the shed that was next to the cottage, and he noticed that there was a bunch of stuff missing from the shed, like the boat building tools and a whole bunch of other tools. And he ran back to the house and he said, "Dad, Mr. Smith's gone and he took all the tools." So Mr. Johnson and Gardner, they ran down towards the dock. They got close to their boat, and they could see just about 6 miles out or so, maybe 4 or 5 miles, they could see a little speck, and they knew it was Smith's boat, because as we all know, no other boat looked like that. They jumped in the Mackinac boat, cast off, give it a good shove, got the sail up, favorable winds. They started out after Smith. Now, even though Smith had a heck of a head start, given the design of the boats, they started catching up and catching up and catching up. They finally got within hailing distance. Gardner's father stood up in the bow and said, "Hey, Smith, just come about. We just want the tools back. We won't file any charges."
Well, they were looking closely at that boat. They were just about to come up with the boat when something, a big white bag or something, came off of the boat. And as it got closer, floated closer to them, it started moving.
Flapping.
Flapping.
Clucking.
Sure enough, it was one of those chickens. And as it came by, Gardner grabbed it and he pulled that surly, soggy, squawking chicken and he threw it down in the Mackinac boat. Well, by this time they had lost a little against Mr. Smith, and they started trimming their sails, and they started getting closer, and
got within hailing distance again. Gardner's father got up again. He said, "Smith, just give us the tools back and sail on. We just want the tools back. We won't call the sheriff. Just give us the tools back." And that's when they saw the second bundle, and the third bundle, the fourth bundle, bundle.
Well, now, they took a look at that boat, and they took a look at those chickens. There were more chickens, and more chickens, and more chickens. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Johnson thought about this a lot. He talked with Gardner about it as quickly as he could. You know, he knew what a powerful store Mrs. Johnson set by those chickens.
It was the tools, the chickens.
The tools?
Chickens. Tools. And he didn't want Gardner to see all these chickens drowned either, so they went back and they got, I should say, plucked every one of those chickens from the water.
Every one of those surly, soggy, squawking chickens, all inside that Mackinac boat. Well, Mr. Smith sailed off, and they never saw him again.
Gardner's father never rented that cottage to a single man ever again. But if you go around Saginaw Bay, to this very day, some of the smaller towns along the water, you hear kids every once in a while singing a song, and they don't know why, but they sing, "Hey, Mr. Smith, what do you know? Your boat's too small to handle freight, but it's much too big to row." Mr. Smith's boat.